All right, get ready to dive deep because today we're unlocking the secrets of market basket analysis. It's like ever wonder how stores seem to know what you want before you even do?
Well, yeah, that's often market basket analysis or MBA in action. But
Well,
it's way more than just groceries.
it really is. We're talking employee benefits, customer behavior, even organizational dynamics.
It's a bit like having a secret decoder ring for data. You can uncover all sorts of hidden patterns.
Exactly. And for this deep dive, we're turning to, well, a really cool source, an academic paper in the Journal of Management.
Oh, yeah, this is a good one by Aquinas, pronounced Aguinis, like the beer and Forkum.
Now, before we jump in, let's make sure everyone's on the same page. What exactly is market basket
We'll
analysis?
think of it as a data detective, right? Sifting through tons of information to uncover hidden relationships. It's like finding those golden nuggets.
So it's not just testing existing ideas, but finding new connections we might have missed.
Exactly. It's inductive, meaning we build theories based on what the data tells us, not the other way around. Let the data do the talking.
I think what's so cool about MBA is that it can handle messy, real-world data.
Mm.
You know, missing values, outliers, the stuff most businesses actually deal with.
Oh, absolutely. It's surprisingly robust.
Hmm.
It works with the data you have, not the perfect data you wish you had.
So it's like, imagine you're trying to understand employee satisfaction. MBA can help connect individual choices, like the benefits they pick, their work-life balance, to overall company performance. It's seeing the whole picture.
Exactly. And that's where multi-level analysis comes in. It bridges the gap between individual actions and, well, organizational outcomes. It's powerful stuff.
Now, I know some people hear market basket analysis and think, oh no, math. But honestly, it's surprisingly intuitive when you break it down.
It is. We've got these three key indexes: lift, support, and confidence. They help us understand the strength and direction of those relationships MBA uncovers.
All right, let's break those down. Starting with lift, what is that all about?
Yeah. Think of lift as a measure of surprise. A high lift means things are appearing together more often than you'd expect randomly. It's like, there's something going on here.
So if we see high lift between, say, employees choosing a certain health insurance plan and, I don't know, signing up for a gym membership, that tells us there's a real connection there.
Bingo. And then support tells us how often that pairing actually happens. So high lift, A and D, high support. That's a connection worth investigating.
Okay, I'm with you. High lift means it's a strong connection. High support means it's common. What about confidence? What does that tell us?
Confidence is all about direction. It tells us how likely it is that someone will choose item B if they've already chosen item A.
So going back to the gym membership, it might tell us that employees who choose that specific health plan are, I don't know, 75% likely to also have a gym membership, but maybe not the other way around.
Exactly. That's the kind of insight that can be gold for a company trying to, design better benefit packages or even tailor their wellness programs.
Now, I know Aquinas and Forkum give us a pretty in-depth example in the paper, but let's try to break it down for our listener. Imagine we're looking at, say, 10,000 online shopping transactions.
All right, let's say we see soda and chips being bought together, I don't know, 30 times. Doesn't sound like much, but
But then we calculate the lift, and it's like 18, which is huge. That tells us there's a really strong relationship there. People are buying those together way more often than you'd expect, just by chance.
And then we look at the confidence and see that maybe people who buy chips are 90% likely to also buy soda. Maybe they get thirsty.
You see, that's the kind of information that companies can use to optimize product placement, marketing campaigns, you name it.
Oh, for sure. And that's just the tip of the iceberg. MBA can be applied to all sorts of areas: dysfunctional workplace behaviors, entrepreneurial identity, strategic management. It's fascinating.
All right, let's dive into some of those applications next. But first, a quick word from our sponsor. Welcome back to the Deep Dive. Before the break, we were just starting to explore how market basket analysis can be used in different areas of management research. I'm ready to get into the nitty-gritty. Where do we start?
Well, Aguinis and Forkum, in their paper, highlight a few key areas where MBA can really shine. One that jumps out is dysfunctional workplace behaviors. Things like aggression, incivility, absenteeism, those behaviors that can really disrupt a team.
Yeah, those are definitely problems every organization wants to avoid. So instead of just looking at those behaviors in isolation, you're saying MBA can help us see if there's a pattern or a connection between them.
Exactly. And even more importantly, we can start to understand the sequence of these behaviors. Like, does one type of behavior tend to trigger another? We can use something called sequential MBA to uncover those patterns over time.
Oh, that's interesting. So it's almost like a domino effect. You could see if Say letting minor incivilities slide actually makes a more aggressive outburst more likely down the road.
That's a great way to put it. And that kind of insight is gold for developing effective intervention strategies. If you can identify those early warning signs, you can address things before they escalate.
It makes you wonder how many of those situations could be prevented if we understood those patterns. Okay, let's shift gears a bit. What about the world of entrepreneurship? How does MBA fit into that?
Well, one fascinating application is an understanding entrepreneurial identity. Think about it. An entrepreneur has to wear so many hats: business owner, leader, mentor, parent, community member. It's a lot.
Oh, I know. It's like they're juggling a dozen different roles at once. It's got to be exhausting.
It definitely can be. And MBA can give us insights into how entrepreneurs navigate those different identities, how they prioritize them, and how those roles maybe evolve over time.
So it's about seeing the whole person, not just the business persona.
Exactly. Entrepreneurship isn't just about business acumen, it's about navigating a complex interplay of personal and professional identities.
I like that. Okay, last but not least, let's talk about strategic management. How can MBA be used at that level? Making big picture decisions that affect the entire organization.
Well, strategic management often boils down to making the link between individual actions and company-wide goals. And that's where MBA can be really helpful.
So you could see how individual employee choices and behaviors actually contribute to, or maybe even detract from, the overall success of a company's strategy.
Absolutely. Think about areas like corporate social responsibility. Let's say a company wants to become more environmentally sustainable. MBA could help them see if employees who prioritize eco-friendly practices in their personal lives are also more likely to champion sustainability initiatives at work.
Oh, that's clever. You could identify those employees who are already aligned with the company's values and then empower them to help drive change within the organization.
Exactly. It's about finding those internal champions who can inspire others and make that strategy a reality.
It's really amazing to think about how MBA can be used at so many different levels, from understanding individual behavior to shaping company-wide strategies. It's like it gives you this X-ray vision into organizational dynamics.
I love that analogy. And the best part is we've only just scratched the surface here. There's so much potential for using MBA in management research. It's really exciting to think about all the discoveries waiting to be made.
Well, before we get too carried away with all the possibilities, I think it's important to address the potential downsides. Like any tool, market basket analysis can be misused or misinterpreted, right?
Oh, absolutely. We need to be aware of those potential pitfalls. For instance, one of the biggest ones is data quality.
Data quality, yeah, that's always a big one, no matter what kind of analysis you're doing. So what do we need to be particularly careful about when it comes to MBA?
Well, as the saying goes, garbage in, garbage out, right? If the data you're using is inaccurate or incomplete, your results are going to be meaningless.
It makes sense, but are there any specific situations where this is, like, a bigger concern than usual?
Yeah, one area to be extra cautious is when you're working with what we call archival data. That's data that was originally collected for a different purpose.
Oh, okay. So, like, if you're using employee records that were initially gathered for, I don't know, payroll or something.
Exactly. You need to really scrutinize that data and make sure it's actually relevant and reliable for the research question you're asking.
So it's not just about having a lot of data, it's about having the right kind of data.
Exactly. And even when you've got good data, you got to be careful not to fall into the trap of over-relying on the numbers. MBA can provide really valuable insights, but it's not a magic solution to every problem.
Right. It's not like it's going to give you a crystal ball and tell you exactly what to do. You still need to use your own judgment and experience to interpret those results.
Absolutely. You always have to think about the context, Make sure the findings actually make sense in the real world.
So it's about using MBA as a guide, not a dictator.
100%. And I think it's also important to acknowledge that MBA is a complex technique. It requires a certain level of expertise to really use it effectively.
It's not something you can just, like, figure out overnight.
Exactly. There's definitely a learning curve. You need to understand the different algorithms and how to interpret the results correctly. But the good news is there are tons of resources out there: tutorials, online courses, books, you name it.
I guess, like with any new skill, the more you practice, the more comfortable you become.
Exactly. Just start with a solid foundation and build from there. One thing that really stood out to me from this paper by Aguinas and Fortcom is how they emphasize the importance of, like, bridging the gap between research and practice. They argue that MBA is actually really well suited for this because the way it presents results, Using those straightforward metrics like support and confidence makes it accessible to people who aren't necessarily statisticians.
So it's not just about generating knowledge for the sake of knowledge, but actually finding actionable insights that can be used to solve real-world problems.
100%. It's about making research relevant and useful. Like that example we talked about earlier, employees choosing holiday pay and prioritizing retirement plans. That's valuable information for companies trying to understand their employees' needs and motivations.
Right. It could lead to changes in, I don't know, company policies or maybe even a shift in the overall culture to better support employees' financial well-being.
Exactly. That's what's so exciting about MBA. It connects data, understanding, and action.
Well, I have to say, this deep dive into the world of market basket analysis has been a real eye-opener. I feel like I'm starting to see those hidden connections everywhere now. As we wrap up, I think the key takeaway is that MBA is a really powerful tool, but it's not a magic bullet. It takes careful planning, thoughtful interpretation, and a good dose of critical thinking to really unlock its potential.
Couldn't have said it better myself. It's about using MBA as a lens to see things in a new way, not as a replacement for our own judgment and experience.
So to our listeners out there, don't be afraid to explore the world of market basket analysis. You might be amazed by the insights you can uncover and the connections you can make. And who knows, maybe you'll even discover some hidden patterns in your own data that you never knew existed.
Exactly. The possibilities are endless.
Until next time on The Deep Dive, keep exploring, keep questioning, and keep diving deeper.